situation. And if Lamar Jackson gets sacked right off the bat, trust me, he's from the 4.5 bananas.
Yeah,
what do you mean?
Who does banana? Do Mississippi. One Mississippi, two. Go ahead. Just go ahead. We can talk about this later.
I've never heard of Mississippi.
Nobody counts like that.
No, it's...
Oh, my.
Nobody says Mississippi.
Okay.
It's bananas. No.
Okay.
Everyone
anyway,
does.
regardless.
We'll let the audience judge.
Ravens,
go ahead. Just
Bills,
go ahead.
we don't have an opportunity for them to judge. Playoffs between these two teams. All the bananas continue Saturday. A couple of stud quarterbacks in Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. Both came out of the first round of that 2018 draft. Josh at 7th overall, Lamar 32nd. Bills head coach Sean McDermott excited to see these two go head-to-head. Take a listen to what he had to say.
And I'm sure, like Baltimore, they had a vision for Lamar. We had a vision for Josh, and I think that's the key, and that's why it's cool to watch these players in their careers flourish like they have. And that's also, I think, a result of, and a credit to Baltimore and the environment that Coach Harbaugh has developed there. And I would say the same thing for us with Josh. So again, I think it's great for the league when you have quarterbacks, young quarterbacks playing like these two. And then Sal mentioned Baker as well, like these guys are, including on the AFC side, Patrick as well with Mahomes there. So it's great for the league.
All right, Nick, I'll start with you. Which quarterback would you rather have on Saturday, Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen?
I'm going to answer that question 1 second, but also, by the way, Twitter/GetNickRight, vote in the poll. Do you count by saying banana or Mississippi? I'll give you the results at the end of the segment. We'll see who's right. All right. I am insulted on Lamar Jackson's behalf here, because I feel like I'm in the minority saying I'll take the defending unanimous MVP. And listen, I am very lucky. 10 hours a week, I get to sit virtually next to a brilliant football mind. Now, he might not know as much about health and fitness as Chad Ochocinco, as you learned via podcast this week. But when it comes to football X's and O's, he knows quite a bit in Brandon Marshall. And all year long, I've heard Stephon Diggs might be the best receiver in the league. Cole Beasley, a great slot receiver. Brian Dable, future head coach. And all year I've also heard, hey, Greg Roman, get your head out and help the quarterback out. And where are the weapons? Where are the receivers? And yet they're in the same place. And Lamar has been extraordinary since the moment he took over for Joe Flacco. Josh Allen's been extraordinary for 1 year. So, who would I rather have? This isn't a stinging indictment on Josh Allen. I'll save that for Monday after they lose. But right now, to me, it's no question. I'd rather have Lamar. Lamar is the guy I would rather have. Lamar is the guy that scares me more. And Lamar is the guy that I think everyone would agree has less weaponry around him in order to fully be able to display his talents throwing the football. True. So, Brandon, I'm going to go with Lamar.
Nick, you made some good points. And this is tough for me. You're right. I've stood on the table for Lamar all year when people were talking about him not being the guy, not being the quarterback that can throw the ball. And I challenged Greg Roman to stand up and do his part. So when I look at this situation, it's not just about the quarterback. I'm also looking at the offensive coordinators. And you also mentioned something, but I won't dive deep into that. It's who are the wide receivers? Who are the running backs, the tight ends, the offensive linemen around them? And I would say that probably Josh Allen has the better supporting cast. So when you look at it, you got Greg Roman and you got Lamar Jackson on this side. I think Greg Roman did a great job of taking Lamar and putting something around him that was safe and also explosive, but he didn't really challenge him to develop and go to another level. This kid has high football IQ, and he has the ability to play in this league for a very long time in the right situation. But the question is, who would you take? Who would you rather have this Saturday? So then you look on the other side, and you got Josh Allen and you got Brian Dable. This is a kid. Going back to Wyoming, he was throwing the ball over the field. He didn't really have a lot of guys, so that was a factor. But his completion percentage just wasn't there, just wasn't accurate. He was just playing off pure talent. That's what he was doing. Brian Daboll gets him. Brian Daboll challenges him, builds a relationship with him, built an offense around him that fits his skill set. But he said, kid, we got to work on your mechanics. And kid, we got to make sure that you can be a complete quarterback. And what has happened since this kid entered the league, and this is why I have to go with him this Saturday. This kid has gotten better and better game after game after game. 2018 completion percentage. What happened in 2020? Oh, that's just going up. Percentage ranking. He was last and he goes to 4th. Passer rating. You see it. Read it. Rating rank.
Yep.
How do you go from 32nd in the league to 4th in a 2-year span? So, Nick, I understand where you're coming from. And it's a tough decision for me, but this Saturday, I have to go with Josh Allen. And Wilds, this kid, I'm telling you, could be the one that challenged Patrick Mahomes, not only this year, but so many years to come for the AFC title.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Well, it's going to be whoever the Patriots quarterback is, and I don't even know who it is, but put him also in there. Okay. Here, Jenna, I'm feeling very charitable. I think you guys are both right. I think Josh Allen has the better game, but Lamar comes away with the win, and here's why. The Bills' game plan, there's all the previews say, oh, you know what you got to do? Dare Lamar to beat you. Dare Lamar to beat you through the air. No, you don't. They're going to run the ball. They're not going to change their whole offensive identity just because you think like, I'm going to dare him. This is not going to work. They ran for 236 yards against the Colts. The Colts knew they ran the ball. It's still going to work. And here's the other thing. You can run the ball on the Bills because guess who else do it? Speaking of the old New England Patriots, Cam Newton couldn't throw the ball around either. They threw the ball about as much as the Ravens did. And the plan to stop Cam Newton and the Patriots was, dare Cam Newton to throw the ball. They didn't do it. Patriots ran for almost 200 yards, and if Cam didn't fumble at the end of the game, we would have won the game. So, Nick, I think Lamar just continues to run. I think he makes something happen. I think Baltimore just pushes and pushes and pushes. Lamar doesn't have an awesome statistical game, but they end up winning.
When I ask the Nets now the favorites to win the title. How should the Sixers feel after they missed out on the beard? And what does this all mean now for Kyrie's future? Good morning, everyone. Welcome to First Things First. I'm Jenna Wolf alongside Nick Wright, Brandon Marshall, Kevin Wilds. Nick, your Lakers, upset alert. There's a new sheriff in town, buddy. You worried at all?
Oh, that's a funny way. Jenna, that's the funniest joke you've ever told in the 3.5 years we've done this show. That is the funniest thing I've ever heard.
The bar is clearly low. I agree, Wilds. It was a compliment. This is where we start, though. James Harden saying he wanted out of Houston, and yesterday his wants came true. James Harden heading to Brooklyn to join Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. It took 4 teams and a truckload of draft capital to pull this off as they send 3 firsts, 4 pick swaps, and players to the Rockets, Pacers, and Cavs, yada, yada, yada. They get former MVP James Harden back in return. Now, Nick, you tweeted yesterday Right after we went off the air that things were heating up on the Harden front. Go ahead and break down this whole deal for us, because there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of teams involved.
Yeah, all day yesterday, the scuttlebutt around the league was that this was going to happen. Boston and Miami kind of tapped out of the deal relatively early. Shockingly, Boston didn't want to actually put any good players in a trade. Okay. Philly, though, was hot and heavy after James Harden. Ben Simmons was prepared to be traded, which is why Brooklyn had to give up everything they legally were allowed to give up. You might say, oh, they kept Joe Harris. They weren't allowed to trade Joe Harris. Oh, they kept DeAndre Jordan. Nobody wanted DeAndre Jordan. They gave up everything. So let's show what everybody gave up, and then we'll show what everybody got. Obviously, the Rockets give up James Harden. The Nets give up all of those players, their depth, their entire control of their draft over the next 7 years. And the Cavs and Pacers, quietly, by the way, both huge winners just for being involved. So that's what everyone gave up. Here's what everyone got in return. And what we're going to focus on, obviously, is the Nets and the Rockets. So the Nets get James Harden back. The Rockets get those players. You might say, wait, they didn't want Karis LeVert? Wait, they could have had Ben Simmons. More on that in a moment. More importantly for the Rockets, they get 4 first-round picks, 3 from the Nets, 1 from Milwaukee that Indiana had control, or the Cavs had control of, and 4 pick swaps, meaning 4 years where if the Nets are worse than the Rockets can trade picks. So let's zoom in on one team. What did the Rockets give up? What did the Rockets get? They obviously gave up Harden. They get Dante Exum, who happens to be on an expiring contract, Victor Oladipo, who happens to be on an expiring contract, Crooks, and of course the draft capital. So this was